In this video, we are going to talk about HTTP methods. Basically, if you have been working in the web or you have been working with REST APIs, you might have used HTTP methods already and you might be even knowing about them. In this video, we are going to specifically talk about 4 important HTTP methods: get, post, put, and delete. Not only that, we are also going to experiment with the GitHub API using the request library to implement all of these methods. Now, in case you don't know, let's talk about HTTP. HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Basically, it is designed to enable communication between clients and servers. Instead of talking you boring details, let me give you an example. A browser, also known as the client, sends an HTTP request to the server. Then the server returns a response to the client. The response contains status information about the request and may also contain the requested content. So that in short is basically what an HTTP request is all about. Now we don't want to go too much in details about the HTTP requests. So let's get directly into the HTTP methods. Now, like I mentioned, we are going to talk about these 4 common HTTP methods. And basically, in order to understand what these HTTP methods do, we are going to carry out 4 different examples or demonstrations using the GitHub API and the request library. I'm sure it is going to be interesting. So watch this video till the end. Now, let's get into it and talk about what a GET request is. Now, you're only going to use a GET request when you want to fetch certain resource or some result from a server. GET requests are only used for receiving data. They're never used for putting new information into the server. So, if you want to change data on the server, add some new information, change the present information, use methods like post, put, or delete. Now, GET request is idempotent. What does it mean? It means that multiple identical GET requests should always have the same effect as a single request. So let's say you want to make a GET request and you do it multiple times, it should always bring you the same value unless the server has been changed, But as long as the server has not been changed or manipulated with, you should always get the same result. That is what idempotent means. Now for the GET request, the best example to demonstrate will be fetching GitHub repositories of a user. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, in order to follow along with the examples presented in this video, you have to create an OAuth token in your GitHub account. So in your GitHub settings, go to developer settings, personal access tokens, and here you can easily create a new token that you can use in the code for making requests to the GitHub API. Now once you have done that, as you can see here, I have created a .env file. Now, like I mentioned, I have my OAuth token here in the env file and I'm using the .env library to read the OAuth token. Let's now see how we can fetch all the repositories from my Pylon GitHub account. Now, as you can see here that in order to list repositories for the authenticated user, this is the request URL, right? Now you can find all this documentation in the GitHub docs. If you don't find it, don't worry. I'm going to leave the link to this in the description below. So using this URL, we are going to make a GET request. So I have written here the base URL is api.github.com/user/repos. And then as you can see here, using the request library, I'm making a GET request to the base URL and passing in my OAuth token. And then the response that I get, I'm just printing out the repositories. So let's go ahead and do that. As you can see here, it is listing out all the repos that I have in my Pylon account. Now you can go ahead and do that for your own account and you can see all the repositories that you have in your GitHub account. Very simple, right? This is what a GET request does. Let's now talk about POST request. Now, if you want to create or add a new resource on the server you're talking with, you should go with a POST request. Basically, when you are signing up on a website, you do it using a POST request. That action you can relate to a POST request. Now, with POST request, you can send data to the server in the body of the HTTP POST request message. Now, unlike GET request, POST request is not idempotent. This means that by sending an identical post request multiple times, you may additionally affect the state or cause further side effects. Okay, so for example, financial transactions, if you keep adding money to your account which is similar to a post request, you are going to change the total balance of your account. All right, so post request is not idempotent. Now one of the actions that we can relate to a post request is by creating a new repository for a user. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, as you can see, it is mentioned in the documentation that in order to create a repository for the authenticated user, this is the same base URL that we are going to call, but this time we are going to make a post request. And there is one thing that is mandatory that you have to pass in your post request is the name. Basically, if you want to create a repository, you have to name your repository. Now, as you can see, I already have my base URL which is same as what is mentioned here. All right, and then I am creating something called as repo config. All right, basically what happens is, like it mentioned in the documentation, that we have to send in our repository name, and the thing is, when you send it in a post request, it only accepts it in a JSON format, so you cannot send it as a string. So therefore what I have done here is I have created a dictionary of various parameters. You can find all these parameters in the documentation. For example, you can find auto init here and git ignore template. Basically you can use a lot of parameters, but I have only used a few. It's not a private repository, it's a public repository. So I have created a dictionary and I am converting it into a JSON format. So now, as you can see, by using the request library, I'm making a post request to this base URL, and then in the data parameter, I'm passing in this JSON data, the repo config. And then again, obviously in the headers, I'm passing in the authorization. Now listen guys, I know for some of you this might be confusing using the request methods, but this is not a tutorial on request. If you want a tutorial on request, mention in the comment section and I will create a tutorial on request specifically. All right. Now, once I get the response here, I am reading what the status code is. Basically, did the post request succeed or did it fail? And then I'm printing the JSON, like what the output of this request. So let's go ahead and run this. Now it returns me 201, which means the repository was created. As you can see, it has given it an ID and this is the full name of my repository. Let's go to GitHub and just make sure that it exists. All right. So in GitHub, if I go to show more, and I should be able to see something called as HTTP methods tutorial. See, so this repository was purely created by using the request library and the GitHub API. So this is how a post requests work. You basically create new elements, new data on the server, and the server accepts it. Let's go back and understand what a put request is. Now, while a post method creates or adds a resource on the server, a put method is used to update an existing resource on the server. Alright, with put request, you can send data to the server in the body of the HTTP put request, similar to post request. However, what is different in put request is that it is an idempotent method, which means that multiple identical HTTP put requests should have the same effect as a single request. Alright, so this is how it is different from a post request. So if you want to create or add a new resource, use post request. If you want to update an existing resource, use put request. Let's go ahead and demonstrate it using our example. Now, one of the best ways to demonstrate put request is by changing the content of a GitHub repository. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, as you can see, this is the documentation for creating or updating file contents. Now, what I want to do is I want to create a new file in my currently created repository, HTTP methods tutorial. So I have to make a put request to the repos owner, where in my case it's PyLenin, repository is HTTP methods tutorial, and then contents, and I have to mention the path that points to the newly created file or the file that I want to create. And as you can see here, because we are actually pushing new things to our repository, we need to give a commit message which is required, and we have to mention the content, the new file content, using base 64 encoding. And if you are updating a file, we also need to mention something called as SHA, the SHA of a file. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to demonstrate both the operations to you, creating a new file and updating the new file. Now as you can see from the base URL, I have the base URL formatted into the way I want. For example, instead of the repo here, I have mentioned my repo name, the owner, and then I'm pointing to a file called as hello.txt. Basically, I want to create a file called as hello.txt in my repository, in my HTTP methods tutorial. All right, and then like it was mentioned in the documentation, you need a base 64 encoding string. So I'm creating a base 64 string here. Basically, I'm encoding hi there, nothing much, just to demonstrate what it does. And then I'm creating this data, which is basically the message is creating a new file. This is going to be my commit message for creating a new file. Then there is my content, basically this base 64 string. Now using this put method, or using the request library and using the put method, I'm sending my put request to the base URL. Again, the data needs to be in a JSON format and my authentication token. Now let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So you see, status code I received for my response is 201, which means the file was successfully created. Let's go ahead to our GitHub repo. You see there is nothing here. Let's refresh it, and you see now we have a hello.txt, and if you open it, it says hi there. So very easy to make a put request and create a new file. Now you might be thinking, creating a new file, shouldn't it be a post request? Well, yes, it can be a post request, but what the way GitHub sees it, and this is what I think, GitHub sees is as you are making changes to an existing repository. So the repository already exists and you are making some changes to it using some commit message and something, and that's why in the documentation it has mentioned it as a put request. All right, so this is what my opinion is. If it is something different, please let me know in the comment section below. Now, just to point it out, when you are creating a new file, you are creating a commit message, you have an SHA, your hash key here, and then basically if you want to update the same file, we have to keep track of this SHA. So let's go ahead and update the file with a different string now. So let me first comment it out, and then what I'm going to do is here, let's run this code. So again, the same base URL, and here instead of hi there, I'm saying hi there second time. And here now I have to pass in a new parameter, which is the hash key, and then I mention this hash key value for this parameter. Now I again make the put request, same parameters, data and headers. Let's go ahead and run this. And now when we run this, you see the request is 200. That means the request we made was successfully executed. And now if we go ahead to our hello.txt, we should see hi there second time. So basically this is how you can use a put request for changing or updating values in a server. Let's go ahead and learn about the delete method. As the name suggests, the delete method is used to delete a resource from the server. No biggie, right? Sending a message body on a delete request might cause some servers to reject the request. Therefore, you should not send data to the server in the body of the HTTP delete request. Now, when it comes to whether it's idempotent or not, it is idempotent. Why? Because multiple identical delete requests should have the same effect as a single request. For example, imagine this. You have a database with an object of ID 1. You are making a delete request to delete the object of ID 1. Now doesn't matter how many times you make the delete request for that ID equal to 1, it is going to yield the same result. It's not going to have any other impact on the state of the server. Okay, so basically delete requests therefore are idempotent. Now the best example to demonstrate this is deleting a GitHub file or a repository. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, instead of deleting a whole repository, I thought why not just delete a file. So this is how you can delete a file. This is the request URL or the base URL. Basically, you have to mention the owner name, in my case PyLenin, the repository name, and the path to the file that you want to delete. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out the code. So now, as you can see, I have my base URL that I took from the documentation. I have replaced those changeable values with my values. For example, PyLenin, the repository name and the file name hello.txt. I have a commit message which says delete the file hello.txt, and I have mentioned the SHA from updating the file. Alright. So you have to always mention the latest hash key. Now I am running a delete operation using the request library. Again, you have to pass in the data using JSON and the headers. And now when I run this, let's go ahead and try it out. You see, request ran successfully. It has been deleted. In order to confirm this, let's go to our HTTP methods tutorial, and you see the hello.txt file is gone. And based on when the commits were created, you can see there was initial commit, then I created a new file. When I updated the file, I should have changed the commit message. That's wrong, but then again I delete the file hello.txt. So basically this is how you can see how you can interact with GitHub by using the request library and the HTTP methods. Now I hope I was able to convey the importance of these HTTP methods using some practical demonstrations of the GitHub API to you, and encourage you more to play around with the GitHub API. Now your assignment for today is playing around with your GitHub account and use as many API calls as possible to perform different tasks. Alright, just go through the GitHub documentation and see what kind of REST API calls you can use. Remember not to use any GitHub libraries like PyGithub or something. Just use the request library to perform HTTP operations on the GitHub API. Now, here is a question for all of you. Would you like to see a video on all the things you can do with the GitHub API and Python? Because GitHub is the biggest hub of all programmers around the world. And more importantly, it's a great playground for you to practice different HTTP methods, and especially for you to practice the request library. So if you want the video on how to perform various operations with the GitHub API and Python, comment below with the specific tasks you have in mind. That way I can focus my energy on the right operation and not focus on everything, because let's face it, it's too big. Thank you guys. I will see you in the next video.